Alright, so if you don't know, I've done a lot of tutorial videos with Dale Decker. And the reason that he uses me is because a lot of the times that he's trying to learn a trick, he'll ask me a couple questions, and he tells me that I'm pretty good at articulating the way that a trick is done, more so than just the physical movements, but also how to think about it, how to avoid bad muscle memory, how to correct bad muscle memory, things like that. So I figured it'd be a decent idea for me to do something similar on my channel, but I want to touch on a subject that I feel like a lot of videos aren't being made about. And that's sort of dealing with like the fear side of things and the safe side of things, of how to learn particular tricks. Because sometimes it's not just how to do the trick, but how to get yourself to try the trick, or what is the safest way to go about trying that trick. So today, as I pull out of my house a flat bar from Keen Ramps that I conveniently work for, so I have access to a ton of ramps, I'm gonna pull out this flat bar and show you a couple safe ways to learn how to skate a rail. I want to cover what I would consider the 101 of rail skating, which would be backside board slides. Learning how to skate rails is one of the scariest things to do on a skateboard. Aside from maybe your first vert ramp drop in and your first handrail. Oh, sticking your first flat ground kickflip is kind of scary too. So, your first drop in general. Okay, there's a bunch of scary ones. But I'd say that learning how to skate a flat bar is right up there with them, particularly a round flat bar. So, if you're learning on a round flat bar or a square flat bar, this will still apply to you, and I'll go over a couple details about both of them. So when you feel that you're on the appropriate level to actually try a board slide, here's how you're going to want to go for it. The first time you try to touch a board slide, you're going to want to slide the last, like, I don't know, 9 inches of the rail. So like basically get on like about right there, and you're just gonna tap it, and you're gonna land kind of diagonal, and you're gonna kind of sag it to this side. So make sure that you have a rail that's sturdy. Make sure that you have a rail that's not gonna slide around. Keen Ramps rails have like skid resistant things on the bottom of the legs so they don't actually slide on the concrete. The rail that I grew up skating did not have that, so I'd go to board sliding and slide like 10 feet. So definitely want some skid stoppers, I think this is what they're called. So you're gonna wanna keep all your body weight to the side that you're coming from. So if you're regular, you're gonna come and sag it this way, and if you're goofy, you're gonna come and sag it this way. And basically what you want is this little bit of diagonal, so when you come out, you don't have to worry so much about getting the full rotation out off the rail. You're kind of more so able to just sort of have your back wheel already on the ground, and you're sort of kick turning out of it. And also, it's kind of keeping the back low to the ground. It's gonna really pull away from the slip out factor. So you're gonna be able to kind of lightly tap it. So when learning the board slide tricks, backside board slide and frontside board slide, you're definitely gonna want a rail that's gonna be on the lower side. Preferably high enough that your wheels will have a couple inch clearance, but not so low that if you get into a saggy board slide, your wheels would be dragging. Keen Ramps actually makes a flat bar that has an adjustable size. It has pins that you pull out and adjust. The newer flat bars have even more different height options than this flat bar. They're also 7 feet long, which in my opinion is amazing because it's pretty easy to store. 7 foot's not crazy long. You can also take the legs off and like save even more space. It's long enough to get a good feel for the grind and a good balance. So when first learning board slides, my first suggestion is make sure that you are good at ollies. And when I say good at ollies, I don't mean you can ollie like 4 foot tall. I mean that you can ollie every single try, up and down curbs. I think if you can ollie over a board like this, you can probably board slide a flat bar. A good way to figure out the aim for the rail, or the angle that you're gonna hit the rail, is by kind of popping and taking your back foot off the board while keeping your front foot on the board, and just getting a feel for the aim, because the only difference between doing that onto the rail and ollieing is really commitment. And in the very beginning, it's better to understand the motions than it is to just be committing right off the bat. Now it's important when you're first jumping on your first couple board slides. God, this airport sucks. I'm filming this right next to an airport, I'm an idiot. So it's important when you're first learning these board slides not to put your body weight on the other side of the rail. If you come from this side and you're jumping on the rail and you put your body weight over here, this teeter which is good for, you know, being able to hold a longboard slide. But when you're first learning, your body weight's going to be pretty in the back seat. So this is danger zone. You don't want to be over here yet. You want to be mostly over here and a little bit crooked, so it's easier to come out. So just little love taps, little kiss the rails. In the very beginning, your first couple tries, you might actually kind of land in a bit of a manual when you first do these little kiss the rails. And I mean, that's fine. That does kind of add a little bit of a slip out factor. But I mean, if you're getting on the rail cockeyed and the rail's low enough, the danger's not really there. But try your hardest to try to get all four wheels down as fast as possible. Since you're gonna kind of mob your ollie, and that means that you kind of like keep your front truck up higher than your back truck when you actually ollie. Since you're gonna kind of be ollieing into it like that, it's gonna be pretty hard to land all four wheels at once, especially if the rail's low to the ground. You want your four wheels to hit the ground as close to at the same time as possible. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about how to actually balance the board slide, or more so how to transition safely from tapping the end of the rail to actually sliding more of the rail. The important side to this step is kind of overcoming a little bit of fear. When you're kind of kissing the rail and you're kind of doing little low ollies, and you're keeping your momentum in the back seat and you're kind of staying low to the ground, you are getting a feel for the board slide. You are feeling the sliding of the rail, you are feeling your weight off the ground and on the rail. It's not as much of a commitment as what we're gonna talk about here. So this part, I cannot stress this enough, is 100% just as easy as kissing the rail, but it will be very likely that it'll be a little bit more scary. And that's leveling out your board slide. So you're still gonna be hitting roughly the last 9 inches of the rail, preferably a foot if you can. But this time you're gonna try to get fully on top of the rail. You're gonna try to get to the center of your skateboard. The easiest way to get there is you kind of start off the board slide a little bit past that sagging that we talked about. So don't go about it like this. Don't ollie on and get into a saggy board slide and then try to just kind of swoop it up, because you risk kind of overshooting it. You really want to kind of ollie on the rail and hit the center of your board immediately and already be kind of not flat. You can be a little bit kind of crooked like this, but you want to aim for the center of your board, unlike the saggy thing that you're doing before. So here's a kiss the rail angle. Here's how you actually want to get in if you want to try to slide a little further. So aim for the center of your board, maybe just a little shy of the center of your board, and that'll look a bit like this. Now, if you've watched any of my skate park reviews, you know that I absolutely despise square rails, and I think round rails are superior in every way. Here is a very, very rare exception. When learning backside board slides, the long flat surface, especially a fatter square rail, is a little bit easier to learn how to hold board slides on. Now when you're learning how to tap them, square rails and round rails are exactly the same. You can totally learn up until this part the exact same on a square rail or round rail. It's not gonna make enough difference to change how fast you learn the trick, I promise. Just round rails look a little bit more intimidating because they look skinnier, they look like it's more of a difficult balance, but in reality what you're doing right now, these little kiss the rails and these little flattened out board slides, square rail's not gonna help you. But now we're gonna learn how to sit on board slides, and the safest way to sit on board slides. And the easiest way to sit on a board slide safely is to have a fatter square rail. I'm gonna show you on this round rail because I don't feel like driving to the nearest skate park that has a square rail. 1, because I hate square rails. 2, because I have a round rail right here. Why would I go to a square rail? And 3, I hate square rails. I would honestly recommend maybe you learn backside board slides on a square rail, as much as that pains me to say, or at least learn how to hold them on a square rail. The big difference between what you've done so far and learning how to sit on the square rail is the safe spot of this trick has changed. When you're learning how to just slide the rail, tapping it, you're kind of more, you're about here, right? And then when you're learning how to flatten it out, you're sliding, you know, kind of like cockeyed like this. And every single time you would bail that, you jump to the side you came from. But when you want to learn how to slide a rail longer, you really got to put your body weight on top, which means now you will be jumping to the other side of the rail when you jump off the board. That might sound a little bit scary because it's unfamiliar territory. Maybe you've done that by accident by now, watching the beginning of the video. But it's actually the safest way to get out of sitting on a longer board slide. So I'm going to demonstrate how to jump off of that now. Now the main reason that you want to jump off to the other side of the rail instead of the side that you came from is when you put your body weight all the way on top of the rail, which is where you need it to be when you're sliding far, your momentum's coming from this side. So it's going to want to continue that way just based on gravity. Your body and board is just going to want to go to the other side of the rail. And that's fine. You got to be comfortable jumping that side of the rail. Now don't get me wrong, sometimes you might jump on the rail and you get in like this and it starts to teeter and you try to correct it and you go back to this way. That's fine. You can still jump back to the side that you came from, but most likely when you're getting used to jumping on a rail for the first time, you're going to want to jump to the other side. So long story short, all your board slide attempts prior to learning how to sit on it should be jumping back to the side you came from, and when you're actually trying to sit on the slide, get comfortable jumping to the other side. Now, I could sit here and explain to you in detail how to connect the dots and how you're going to come off the rail and turn out and this, that, and the other. In all honesty, kissing the rail and landing it like that should have kind of already taught you the momentum to get out of it. And getting into the rail and balancing the slide, I mean, that's just literally a matter of balancing. There's no real explanation to finding the center of balance. You know what a skateboard's shaped like. I don't need to baby you into figuring out the balance. The second you jump on the rail for the first time and kiss the rail, the second you do the very first step of this, you're going to be like, all right, it's already making sense. When you start doing the second step, you're going to be like, oh, that's how you flatten the board out. So when you go to actually like balance the board slide, I don't need to hold your hand through it. You will understand the second that you try to do it. And that's really all there is to it. Taking those baby steps of kissing the rail to leveling out your board slide to being on top of the rail are really the ingredients to do this safely. As you're sliding, to be about the same. Shut up! Thank you.